I remember once living in Israel, we had our winter clothes and our summer clothes. And we didn't have a garage. Instead, it all had to go up into the attic. And the attic was impossibly hard to get up into. Okay? And it seemed like the seasons changed every 3 days. I mean, that's how much it felt like. And Cindy couldn't go up there and do it herself, right? She couldn't get up into the attic. So I'd have to go up into this attic. And it's dirty and dusty, and the boxes are a mess, and I've got to walk on the beam so I don't step through the thing, right? And when she'd asked me to do this, I didn't want to at all. I hated it. It was my least favorite thing to do in the house. And I let her know that, okay? And not in as many words. I mean, I would do it. You know, and I would climb up there, drop boxes, you know, and it was so obvious. She wasn't blessed. It wasn't doing anything for our marriage. I was a crab, right? And she wasn't blessed by it. And the Lord just spoke to my heart. Dude, you need to lay down your life. You need to show your wife sacrificial love. And so I started to do this, go up and get the boxes with a good attitude. Because I have to do it anyway. And I would go and I would get the boxes, and it changed everything. Because Cindy, all of a sudden, felt love. There was a great opportunity for, just by changing my attitude, the physics of it were the same. I'd go up in the attic, grab the boxes, bring them down, do all this stuff. But by changing my attitude and my approach, she reaped the benefits of feeling sacrificially loved, and she knew how hard it was for me, so it was all that much better, right? And then I reaped the benefits of her just swooning over me. Oh, honey, thank you so much. You're the best man in the world, right? Which built me up in my feeling successful, okay? And I felt honored, and that's how it worked. Now, sacrificial love only takes place when you don't want to do it. All right, man? Sacrificial love only happens when you don't want to do it. Then it's a sacrifice. And that's the kind of love that Jesus said we're to show to our wives. All right, now that love produces in our wives, it's the most honorable thing in the world when a man will lay down his life every day for his wife. When he'll lay down his own wills and desires and so forth to show love. That's the most honorable thing a man can do. And it invites her honor. And when a man feels honored, he feels loving. And you get that reinforcing cycle. Okay? And it gets kick-started. And actually, either one of you can do it. Okay? But the man is the head of the home. And so I suggest to all you men that but it starts that cycle. And we both have the power. Women don't even realize how much power they have in their words to encourage and honor their husbands and the love and the benefit that they can reap from. We try to, do it through other ways, through nagging or whatever, and we just never get there because you can't get there from here. There's only one way to do it. It's a byproduct of honoring your husbands. And people, they've discovered this over the years, but Paul, 2,000 years ago, set out this message that we find to be the most instinctive message and the one that works the best in any marriage relationship. Okay? You hear a lot too with women as far as honoring their husbands. They feel like, I'll honor him if he's honorable. Right? If he would act honorable, I would honor him. Well, honor is an attitude and it's a choice. And the thing that we honor actually is authority. Okay? We honor authority, not necessarily behavior. Okay? We honor authority. It says in Romans 3:1, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. You had Paul, he was speaking in front of the Sanhedrin, and I think it was the chief priest, he ordered that somebody smack him. And He said, God will strike you, you whitewashed sepulchre. And the guy next to him said, how dare you speak that way to the high priest? And what was Paul's response? Well, he ain't acting like no high priest. Right? I'll honor him when he's honorable. Is that what he said? He said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know he was the high priest. For the scripture says, do not bring a railing accusation against one of your leaders. Right? So it wasn't the behavior that was honorable, it was the position. It was the authority that he was given. And that's important for us to understand.
Yeah, I just want to add to that too. I think there's going to be way with bated breath, just ready to give the honor. As soon as he does this thing, just looking, as soon as he does it, I'm going to, pounce in with honor. And yet, we'll wait all day maybe, but if we would give that honor first, then it would start again that cycle.
That's right. I don't know if, I think you guys, who here has been to any Frank Segan's marriage stuff? I know you guys have. You have too. I believe it's him. He's the one that, I haven't been to them myself, but I believe it's him that talks about this. Anybody familiar with this? What are we talking about here? Circles and ladders, right? Circles and ladders. Women want to know, am I in your circle? Am I in your circle? Am I in your relational circle? Are we in relationship? Are we in community? Do we have fellowship together? That's what they want to understand. Am I in your circle? Men want to know, well, where am I on your ladder? I know this, even when men relate to each other, there's always a bit of a trying to figure out the pecking order, especially in the business world and so forth, who's who in the zoo, and how does it, how should I feel about you, and oh, you're not, that you can't make decisions, we want to understand, where are we on the ladder? Do you honor me? Do you respect? Do you think I'm really important? Is my title big enough for you to accept me? Right? We intuitively, we relate and treat each other this way because that's how intuitively we feel. Women want to know, do you love me, basically? Do you love me? Do you accept me? Are you in my circle? Right? Are we in relationship? And men want to know, well, where am I on your ladder? Do you respect me? Do you think I'm awesome? So, this is the way that God created us to reflect Christ in the church. This is the way God created us to reflect His image, Christ in the church, where the church submits and honors Christ, and Christ shows His love for the church. That's what He says in Ephesians 5 that we read. And that's the picture that we bring to the world when we live in this, in our marriages. That's the picture we bring to the world. Now the next one is lead and follow. So, our culture's done such a number on us in this area, teaching that if you're not a leader, you're not important. And Scripture's so clear on this point. I mean, he flips everything on its head, where he says, if you want to be the greatest in God's kingdom, you're going to be the servant of all. It completely undermines the systems of this world and the way that they value each other and so forth. Today, you have husbands, they don't want to lead. They don't want to lead. They don't feel like they're supposed to lead because they're told you're not the leader. It's an equal partnership. How dare you think you're a leader, try to be a leader. And it's hard to lead anyway. And so husbands get demotivated and they don't feel appreciated when they try to lead, so they stop. Okay? We're very Pavlovian in that way. It's whatever behavior just reinforces it. So we're not getting any bells ringing for us when we do it. We stop, right? So men don't want to lead, and wives, they've been taught that they shouldn't follow. You follow, you're weak. You're weak. You're giving yourself away. You're just being so cheap. How could you lead? How could you follow? You're supposed to follow. It's an equal partnership. Well, it is an equal partnership, but every equal partnership. I mean, I've never seen organizations as dysfunctional when you had two leaders. They call them two-headed monsters. Okay, that's what organizations call them in business. You try to do what they call two in the box. They're called two-headed monsters. And they always break down over time because we're not created to operate that way. God didn't create it that way. If we look at Colossians, 1 Corinthians 11:3, it says, "But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ. The head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is God." He plays it. He says, look, there's a hierarchy here. It's the Father. It's Jesus. It's the man. There's his wife. This isn't man and woman, by the way. This is husband and wife. Okay. He says this is what it looks like. That's the hierarchy. All right. So again, I don't have to make this up. I just read what Paul had to say about it. But we don't like that. We don't like that. Something in us rebels against that. Something in our society that teaches us to rebel against that.
It's a good point that in the scriptures where it's wife, it doesn't mean that all men are over all women. You're subject to your husband and to your father. You're subject to Jesus. And if Jesus is subject to the Father, he's not less. You're with God, so we're not worth less because the wife is subject to the husband,
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, authority is a two-sided coin. You have authority, and you have responsibility. Now, you thought it was power and responsibility from Spider-Man, but it's actually authority. With great authority comes great responsibility. That's the truth. The man has been delegated this authority. See, authority doesn't come because you're the biggest and the strongest. Authority comes by right of appointment, by right of you've been given authority. Okay, and it comes by being under authority. That's how you achieve authority. Somebody has to give you authority who actually has authority. Okay, in this case, God the Father has all authority. He's given it all authority to Jesus. He said so in the book of Matthew, the last chapter, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. He has all authority. He said, all right, I'm commissioning you guys to give you authority. But we get our authority because we're under authority. And when women want to step out of the authority that God's put them under, they lose their authority. Their authority in their home. If they find, oh, my kids aren't respecting me, they don't do what I say, they're disobedient, and so forth. You may have found yourself having stepped out of that authority yourself. If the husband finds himself, oh, my wife, she won't submit to me, she won't obey me, well, take a look. Just look up and see what's above you. See, have you stepped out of the authority that the Lord's put you under? And the Father, he has all authority because he made us. If you make something by nature, you get to do whatever you want with it. So he says, how can the clay say to the potter, why have you made me this? Yes, Lord?
I was just thinking when you said the Father has all authority. As a wife, if your husband is not submitting himself to Jesus, the Father has all authority. So if you fear, like, okay, well, my husband's not submitting himself to Jesus in this, the Father has all authority. So you go to the Father in prayer, and you continue to honor your husband unless he's beating you or whatever. There's that.
Right, sure.
And you go to the guy that's on the top authority, and you say, and God will bring you into alignment because that's His will concerning you.
That's right, Lord. That's fantastic. Yeah, the fact is, when we submit to the earthly authorities that God has put us under, we show not primarily our respect for that authority, but our respect for that authority.